Many years after graduation, a romance novel I wrote about a couple reuniting after a breakup unexpectedly became a hit. The male lead was based on him. At the book launch event, he sat in the audience as an investor. His girlfriend smiled and said, "We're getting engaged soon, so I hope certain people won't get any ideas." A reporter, still persistent, asked, "Aaron, if you dislike the author, why did you buy the rights to the story?" Without even glancing at me, Aaron responded indifferently, "The plot is terrible. I didn't want to see it again." Did you hear? In reality, the couple in the story never got back together. The female lead actually dumped the male lead. For what reason? Because he was poor, obviously. Then Aaron became an heir, and when she begged him, he refused. How does she still have the face to write a book? The air conditioning in the event hall was freezing. The readers' insults kept coming one after another. I kept my head down, carefully signing my name on the book's title page. This novel was something I wrote the year I graduated. I never expected it to become a hit. The more readers loved the characters in the book, the harsher the criticism became once my history with Aaron was dug up. But I couldn't afford to be upset. Even if I had to smile while being scolded, the event had to go on. Because it was a requirement from the investors. Aaron sat there in the audience, composed and steady, watching the girl beside him being interviewed. "We're getting engaged soon, so I hope certain people won't get any ideas." The girl smiled sweetly. If someone ruined another person's life, it wouldn't make sense for them to get back together. I knew this girl. Lara, a university classmate. Her family and Aaron's were close. When I was dating Aaron back in college, she took the initiative to become my close friend. After graduation, we became strangers. The microphone was then handed to Aaron. "Aaron, your story with the author has become quite popular. How did you two break up back then?" Without looking at me, Aaron replied coldly, "You should ask the author." That icy, indifferent tone only solidified the rumors further. That I was the one who overestimated myself and abandoned Aaron. Laughter rippled through the audience. "Some say your first ambition wasn't to go into business, but to become a scientist. Can you tell us why you ended up taking over the family business?" Aaron's gaze pierced through the crowd and lingered on me for a moment, expressionless, before he looked away. I was young back then, didn't know what I wanted. It turns out, people should return to familiar territory. Instead of making the same mistake again. He finished, then asked, expressionless, "Ruby, what do you think?" My mind went blank as I faced the cameras, just as I was about to say something. Aaron lowered his eyes and started talking to someone else, as if he didn't care what I had to say. The event's big screen cut to Aaron's interview. "What was your reason for buying the rights to this book?" Aaron's voice was cold, "The plot is awful. I didn't want to see it again." In fact, I only found out today that Aaron was the investor behind my project. Very few fans attended the launch event. Instead, I received a notice that my book was being blacklisted. The website was about to take it down, and the physical copies were going to be pulled from shelves. "Ruby, the adaptation is probably not happening." After the event ended, my agent called me aside. I stood frozen at the door, a little dazed. His gaze lingered on my ear for a moment before hesitantly asking, "Your ear?" I touched the hearing aid hidden under my hair, feeling a little embarrassed. "Yeah, the doctor said there's a new procedure I want to try." Over the years, my hearing had deteriorated. If I didn't watch people's lips, I often couldn't tell what they were saying. The procedure would cost $100,000. Without the royalties, I couldn't afford it. The agent sighed, "Sorry, I can't help you." I knew he had it tough too. We were just part of a small website, barely scraping by. Who would have thought that out of nowhere, we'd catch the attention of big investors? The story I wrote years ago, right after graduation, had been dug up and suddenly blew up. And I was thrown into the spotlight. "It's okay, I'll figure something out." He patted me on the shoulder. Before he could say more, someone bumped into me, causing me to stumble and my hearing aid to fly out. "Sorry." The delivery guy quickly disappeared into the elevator. I bent down and found the hearing aid broken. Suddenly, all the noise around me felt muffled, like it was covered in a thick fog. Until the light above me was blocked. A pair of shiny black leather shoes appeared in front of me. I looked up. Aaron, dressed in a sharp suit. His gaze, cold behind his metallic glasses, fell on me without a hint of warmth. His hand was resting lightly on a pile of boxes that looked like they were about to topple over. His slightly furrowed brow revealed a trace of impatience. "Can't you hear?" I understood from reading his lips. I also noticed the panicked delivery worker next to him, apologizing profusely. It turned out I was crouched in the middle of the hallway, blocking his path, and didn't hear his warning. He had been pushing a tall stack of boxes and hadn't seen me either, nearly causing an accident. "Sorry, I didn't mean to cause trouble." I hurriedly tucked the broken hearing aid into my bag and apologized to the delivery guy. Aaron withdrew his hand, and the boxes tumbled to the floor beside me. "This is my company. I don't want any accidents happening here, that's all." With that, he turned and walked away without looking back. I spent the whole day running around and hadn't eaten. I received a message from a friend and briefly explained what had happened. "Lara's with Aaron now?" My friend blew up as soon as she saw my message. "Does he even know what kind of person Lara is? If she hadn't abandoned you back then, you wouldn't be in this situation." I paused and replied, "People naturally want to escape when they're in danger. It's not something you can blame her for." The June weather was unpredictable. The rain started pouring down suddenly. Across the street, a huge LED billboard displayed an advertisement for a new real estate project jointly invested in by Aaron and Lara's families. It was moving forward, full steam ahead. I recalled an analysis I had read online. Marriages in wealthy families were always unbreakable. In the years since graduation, I'd occasionally heard about Aaron through classmates. Everyone thought he came from a poor background. He was top of his class, even winning first place in a physics competition. When we broke up, he had already been in talks with his dream university for a direct admission. But then, his grades suddenly plummeted. He missed the cutoff for admission. The next time he resurfaced, it was as the heir of a wealthy family, suddenly thrust into the media spotlight. He had completely changed. Cold, ruthless, and efficient. I knew who was responsible for that change. And that's why I couldn't say anything to erase our past. The wind blew the rain under my umbrella, drenching my face and clothes. I touched my ear and hailed a cab to get my hearing aid repaired. The muffled sound of thunder rumbled into my ears, as if wrapped in cotton. Byron was a good editor. He didn't want to see my efforts go to waste, so he worked hard to connect with a small production company. They were willing to risk offending Aaron to produce my story. Byron set up a dinner meeting. If we closed the deal, I could get the money by next week. But things didn't go as planned. He got stuck in traffic on the night of the meeting. That left me sitting alone with a group of strangers. To make matters worse, Lara was there too. My hearing aid hadn't been fixed yet, so all evening I had to focus on reading people's lips to understand what they were saying. Lara crossed her legs and said, "Don't hold back with Ruby, she'll do anything for money." One of the executives immediately chimed in, "Life's hard, Ruby. Want to make it easier?" His comment was met with laughter. I kept my head down, took a small sip of my drink, and remained silent. Byron had worked hard to set this up. His wife had just had a baby, and he was under a lot of pressure. I didn't want to let his efforts go to waste. I just had to wait for him to arrive. But then they took it further. "Keep me company tonight, and I'll..." A figure suddenly stepped between me and the vice president, blocking my view. "What do you want her to do with you?" I looked up to see Aaron coldly throwing out the question at the person in front of us. His features, under the overhead light, appeared particularly stern. "Why is he here?" Lara's smile faded as she stood up. "Aaron, what brings you here?" The vice president froze, forgetting to even smile. "Aaron." Aaron grabbed my hand and pulled me away. I hadn't even had time to react before I was yanked outside. Lara's expression changed as she shouted, "Aaron, don't be impulsive." Her voice quickly faded as we left. There were no obstacles in our way until Aaron shoved me into his car. "How much?" His cold words hit my ears like chunks of ice. The veins on his hand, gripping the seat, bulged, revealing his simmering anger. I stared at him blankly. "What?" He laughed bitterly out of anger, pulling a gold card from his pocket and tossing it at me. 10,000? Hundreds of thousands? Or millions? Swipe this card as much as you want. No need to grovel in front of others. My heart ached, and I wanted to explain. But how could I? I do need money. These years had eroded my pride. Nothing is scarier than poverty. You want money, don't you? Aaron gritted his teeth. Or do you think my money's dirty? I picked up the card, clenched it tightly, and spoke weakly. Lend me 100,000. I'll pay it back. I knew his gold card was worth far more than that, probably without a limit. Aaron's face remained stony. Is that so? Remember what you said. From now on, I want to see money in my account every month. If I don't, my lawyer will contact you. So you'd better not disappear on me. I bit my lip. I'm not that kind of person. Not that kind? Aaron pressed, inching closer. Ruby, you have a history with me. The word stuck in my throat. I wanted to get out, but Aaron didn't move. He stood by the car door, grabbing my chin and forcing me to look at him. Now, let's talk about the price. I froze. What price? You think I'll let you use me again without getting anything in return? His cold fingers brushed my cheek, like a merciless blade of ice. Ruby, this is all you're doing. Don't expect any kindness from me. So let's talk business. Aaron's voice was a low murmur, barely audible. Sign the marriage agreement, and I'll give you what you want. The car silently weaved through the streets. Aaron didn't let me out. Because 10 minutes ago, I'd blurted out a lie. I'm getting married. Aaron's face was thunderous, staring out the window in silence. After a long time, he asked, to who? I hadn't heard him clearly. Huh? What? He lifted his eyes. I asked, who are you marrying? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Aaron, a veteran in the business world, asked with unnerving calm, date, place, do your friends know? I had no answers for any of those. Aaron raised an eyebrow. Ruby, you're not even trying to make your lies believable, are you? It's none of your business. Sign this. Suddenly, he tossed a document at me. The title read, Marriage Agreement. My heart tightened as I scanned the terms below. He didn't care? Most of the clauses were in my favor. I'm sorry, I can't agree to this. Why? I pushed the contract back toward him. You and Lara. Before I could finish, I saw an unreadable expression on Aaron's face. Aren't you the one who stopped caring? It's been years. You disappeared without a word, never asked about me. So why does it matter who I'm engaged to or what I think? Honestly, I wanted to say that I did ask. But explaining now would be pointless. Aaron said, the marriage with Lara is my family's decision. She and I have no personal relationship. Ruby, think carefully. His eyes were sharp. If you marry me, you'll get everything you want. Fame, your books turned into movies, and money. In that moment, I finally understood why Aaron had blocked my career. When you're desperate, you're easier to manipulate. He's always been a successful hunter. He wanted to force me out of hiding. But what do you want? You. Aaron's tone was indifferent. Don't expect the future to be easy. All the pain I've gone through, I'll make sure you feel it too. Honestly, I had no reason to refuse. I needed the money badly. I was willing to go through with it. I married Aaron. On the day we registered the marriage, he went straight to the office. Before leaving, he sent me an address. I want to see you at home tonight. Cold and emotionless. After thinking it over, I contacted a hearing aid salesman, at least to make communication with Aaron a little clearer. Ruby, I'm sorry. The old one can't be fixed. I'd recommend buying a new one. Hearing aids aren't cheap. It's not something you can just buy on a whim. Over the years, I'd spent most of my money on my mom's medical bills, leaving me with very little. I stared at the price list and sighed inwardly. I pulled out Aaron's card. The salesperson's eyes lit up. Ma'am, you could get an even better model. No, this one is fine. I cut her off, watching her swipe the card and then hand it back to me with a bright smile. It felt awkward. Aaron would get a notification for the charge, right? On our wedding day, I'd already made a significant expense. I wondered what he'd think of me. But the truth was, he didn't say a word to me all day. It would take a while for the hearing aid to arrive. I packed up a few essentials and took a taxi to the address he sent. It was a villa in an upscale neighborhood. There wasn't anyone around. A little dog was in the yard, wagging its tail happily when it saw me. I knelt down and petted its head. "Hello, is your name White?" It barked twice and even offered me its paw. It must be White. Aaron hadn't changed, he was still terrible at naming things. The villa was spotless, but it didn't feel lived in. I sat awkwardly on the sofa with White in my arms. I opened my phone and, without much thought, clicked on Lara's Facebook profile. She'd blocked me for a long time, but strangely today, I could see her updates. Just minutes ago, she posted something. It was from a business meeting. In the picture, Aaron was wearing glasses, sitting in the center, listening intently to someone presenting. All the participants had a bottle of water on the table, but next to her, there was a cup of milk tea, out of place with the rest of the setting. Her caption read, "Today's special treatment." I closed the app without a word, tying my hair up as I dragged my suitcase into the guest room. I spent the rest of the afternoon unpacking. I almost texted Aaron to ask if he'd be home for dinner. But halfway through typing, I gave up. I wanted to take a shower, but found that none of the bathrooms had water. So I waited, drowsy on the sofa, until I heard someone come in around midnight. I groggily sat up, only to meet Aaron's eyes as he walked through the door. His gaze darkened the moment he saw me. For a moment, the air felt awkward. Only White was excited, running over to greet him, wagging its tail and clinging to his leg. I tried to speak, my voice hoarse. "You're back?" Aaron glanced at my disheveled hair, loosened his tie, and quietly responded, "Yeah." Then he knelt to pet the dog. I tightened my grip on the wedding ring on my finger, feeling the absurdity of it all. I had once dreamed of what our married life would be like. But now, after all these years, we were living together in the strangest of ways. I licked my dry lips. "I'm going to bed." "Wait." Aaron's voice stopped me. "You're staying in the guest room?" I understood what he meant. "No, I'll move to the master bedroom." As Aaron walked past me, I caught a faint scent of alcohol. On his shirt collar, there was a bright red lipstick stain. But it seemed I no longer had the right to ask. I heard the sound of water running from the bathroom. So his room had a working shower. I hesitated for a long time, waiting until the water stopped, before I took my towel and walked over. Aaron opened the door, stepping out of the steam. He was wearing only a towel around his waist. Water droplets slid down the contours of his muscles, disappearing into the soft fabric of the towel. He glanced at me. "What is it?" I said, "The rest of the house can't be used for a shower." "Yeah, I know." His words caught me off guard. Aaron continued, "The pipes are broken, and the plumber can't come until Monday." For a moment, we just stood there, locked in a silent standoff. He was waiting for me to give in. I nodded. Then, "Can I use yours?" "Go ahead," Aaron said coolly, brushing past me and heading to his study. The lingering scent of mint slowly faded from the room. Just then, my best friend sent a message, "Did you get the hearing aid?" "Yeah, I bought it with Aaron's money." I would pay him back eventually, but his money had certainly saved me from an urgent situation. After my shower, I thought it over and decided to cut up some fruit and take it to his study, to thank him. Aaron was on the phone when I entered. He glanced at me briefly, without much interest. That made all the words I had carefully planned in my head vanish. "What is it?" He quickly ended the call and looked up at my damp face. "I thought you might be thirsty, so I brought you some fruit." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Don't you think water would have been better?" I stammered, "I'll go get some." Suddenly, he pulled me, and I lost my balance, falling backward onto his lap. The scent of minty body wash engulfed me. "To you, what am I? Is there really a need to be this nice to me?" His dark eyes bore into mine. "You've been avoiding me for years, took my money, and still aren't satisfied? Now you want to stir things up?" That's when I realized my pajamas had turned sheer from the moisture. The situation was completely changing. I tried to explain. Aaron stood, lifting me onto the desk, trapping me in his arms. "Didn't what?" I was speechless, clutching the fabric tightly. Before I could look away, Aaron's lips crashed onto mine with force. His kiss was aggressive, overwhelming my senses. My body weakened as I grabbed his collar, gasping for air. Maybe it was my body's memory, but for a brief moment, I found myself responding to him. Paper scattered across the floor, and a piggy bank shattered into pieces. He broke the kiss, panting lightly, and reached into the drawer for something. "Aaron, wait," I blurted out. He paused, looking at me with those irresistible, patient eyes. "What is it?" "I have something to say." "Then say it." "I spent some money today." "So? 5,000 isn't worth discussing, is it?" I swallowed nervously. "I just wanted to, thank you." Aaron stared at me for a moment, his soft expression disappearing, replaced by his usual calm. "So, to thank me, you want to sleep with me?" "No." "Then what is it?" Aaron's sharp gaze pinned me down, leaving no room to escape. "Ruby, tell me, why are you here, looking like this, tangled up with me?" I stayed silent. If I said love, it would feel cheap and insincere, given our financial history. Aaron didn't give me time to answer. He carried me from the study to the bedroom, not even letting me go as I cried. In the end, Aaron said, "It's okay, Ruby. I don't mind living like this." The next day, Aaron left for a business trip. He didn't leave a word behind. True to his promise, Aaron lifted the ban on my writing. Almost overnight, all the negative reviews disappeared. Byron sighed, "Aaron really is something." With just a move, he almost brought our company to its knees, and in the next moment, he saved it. "What's going on with you and Aaron, exactly?" I sighed. "It's complicated." Byron was stunned. "You don't mean?" I nodded. "When I moved out years ago, it was during the rainy season. I was sitting in the back of a small moving truck, surrounded by boxes. Aaron chased after it, shouting desperately. "Ruby, just wait a little longer, please? I can skip the top university," the one next door offered more. "Just wait for their money to come through. I'll send it to you right away. We don't have to break up, okay?" Back then, Aaron had nothing. I said, "Aaron, I need a lot of money, and I need it now. Someone else can give it to me. Don't say anything more." Aaron, once so clean and full of hope, stumbled again and again in the mud, utterly defeated. Byron sighed, who would have thought he'd become a business tycoon? "His family has pretty intense infighting too. I've heard his dad had several lovers and 8 or 9 kids. Fighting his way to the top and taking control couldn't have been easy." "Yeah, no one could have predicted it." Aaron's dream was to become a scientist. A week later, I got my new hearing aid. At the same time, the production company hosted a banquet. They only invited Byron. I was sitting in a small bar across the street when my phone pinged with a picture. It was a man's back, sharp suit, handsome profile. It was Aaron, clearly just back from his trip. "I heard you two got married?" Lara sent a teasing emoji. "So why is he here at my place then?" Under the dim light, Aaron's striking features stood out. I took a deep breath and immediately blocked her on message. A second later, she called me from an unknown number. The first thing she said was, "I heard you're deaf." I froze. She laughed, "So it's true. No wonder someone told me you're wearing a hearing aid." "Ruby, marriage fraud is illegal. Does Aaron know you're disabled?" Sweat dampened my palms. "Why are you doing this? We were friends once. I just don't like you." "Is that not enough?" She sounded irritated. "If you took the money, you should have stayed hidden. Why did you come back?" It felt like someone had poured cold water over me, leaving my voice barely my own. "How do you know I took the money?" All the ugly memories from that summer came flooding back. Lara and I had been cornered by a gang in an alley. She seized the opportunity to escape, leaving me behind to be beaten. The last blow landed on my ear, rupturing my eardrum. Later, someone flipped over my mom's food stall, pouring scalding oil on her, leaving severe burns. Someone had given me 100,000 yuan and threatened me to leave. Only I and that person knew about it. After a pause, Lara clicked her tongue. "So you figured it out? What a hassle." I had always thought it was an accident. I never blamed Lara for leaving me behind, thinking she was just as much a victim. But now, years later, she was telling me that all my suffering had started with her. She laughed, just a little money, and you left town like a dog. Want to try it again? My fingers trembled. That 100,000 hadn't been enough to fix my mom's burns or my hearing. And after we called the police, nothing came of it due to lack of evidence. Lara laughed again. Ruby, I'll teach you something. Turn on your recorder, and I'll admit it was me who did those things. If you've got the guts, go ahead and report me. I was shaking with rage. The recording had already reached 3 minutes, but her vague words weren't enough to convict her. Lara's laughter was uncontrollable. What are you going to do, Ruby? You're so pathetic. Even the person you love, I took them from you. Her mocking words buzzed in my ears, blending with the pounding of my blood. 20 minutes later, I pushed open the doors to the banquet hall. On a rooftop terrace, I spotted Aaron. He was surrounded by men, discussing business seriously. There were plenty of industry people present. Lara sat not far away, laughing and joking with a group of her friends. Aaron noticed me right away. He looked at me briefly, then looked away. Aaron, something wrong? He brought his gaze back, speaking casually, that's my wife. Everyone looked surprised. You're married? Yes, she's a bit shy and doesn't like socializing. The next second, I stormed over to where Lara was chatting with her friends. I picked up a large ice bucket filled with sparkling wine and poured it all over her. A sharp scream pierced the night. The business people around Aaron exchanged glances. Aaron, maybe you should check on what's happening behind you. By the time Aaron rushed over, I had Lara's hair clenched in my fist, pinning her to the sofa, my knuckles white. I'm going to make sure you end up in jail, I said, my voice trembling with tears. It's only a matter of time. I held back my tears, my voice trembling. I was afraid you wouldn't hear me clearly over the phone, so I came here to tell you in person. Lara, you have an extra pair of ears compared to me. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Lara, who had always prided herself on her grace, looked like a drenched, miserable dog in front of everyone, wailing hysterically. She never expected that things had spiraled out of her control. Aaron, save me. Aaron pulled me into his arms. Ruby, calm down. In his embrace, I turned my head to glare at Lara, my face devoid of expression. Lara, shrinking into a corner, tried to maintain her bravado. Haha, can you even hear yourself talking so loudly? Little deaf girl, you're just a cripple. Aaron, she's been deceiving you. At that moment, the world seemed to fall silent. Whispers started to spread around us. Is it true? Does she have a disability? Aaron married her? Isn't he embarrassed? Deceiving people? If it were me, I'd divorce her immediately. Disgusting. Aaron's hand, which had been protecting my head, suddenly touched my hearing aid. I lifted my head and met his stunned gaze. My heart sank. Is it true? He asked softly. Ruby, how much more have you been hiding from me? In the unbearable silence, I swallowed my tears and said. She's right. I'm deaf. I can't hear a single thing. Since that summer when I was 18, this has been my reality. Every now and then, I've had to endure the whispers, the scorn, or the pity. I thought I had gotten used to it. But tonight, my tears overflowed like a dam breaking, unstoppable. I realized that the protective shell I'd spent so long building could be so easily shattered. I was bracing myself to see the disgust in Aaron's eyes. Then suddenly, a pair of warm hands covered my ears, shutting out all the noise from the outside world. Aaron's hands were trembling, but his palms were scorching hot. I heard his cold, clear voice cut through the crowd. Get lost. Aaron, let's be honest. Your family will never allow you to marry a deaf woman. I sat on the couch, staring at the floor, silent. The door next to us was shut. From inside came Lara's screams. Maybe they didn't know, but the air conditioning vent was broken, and I could hear everything clearly. Aaron's voice was icy. Marrying her is my decision. It has nothing to do with the family or with you. Even though you nearly lost your life back then? Even though your grades plummeted, you returned to the family and were almost beaten to death by your father? All the suffering you went through, does that mean nothing? So, what are you trying to say? He asked. After a brief silence, Lara's voice cracked, almost in tears. Aaron, does everything she does seem right to you? So what if it does? After another brief silence, Lara kicked the door open angrily and stormed out. The night grew late, and the crowd dispersed. Aaron came over to me. I'm sorry for causing you trouble, I said. I'll sign the divorce papers soon, but the money. I'll need time to pay it back. Lara ruined me, and she ruined my mom. I'll make her pay for everything. When did it happen? What? Your ears. I turned my head away. It happened after graduation. I was cornered and beaten up in an alley. Aaron's hand trembled slightly, his voice strained. Why, didn't you tell me back then? I didn't know your family was wealthy, and her family had power. They wanted to drive me and my mom away. We had no way to fight back. All I could think about was not dragging you into it. What would happen if they came after you too? I couldn't let you lose everything because of me. Suddenly, he pulled me into a tight embrace, burying his head in my hair. I could feel his tears soaking into the back of my neck. He was crying. Held in his arms, I was at a loss for words for a long time. Ruby, I'm sorry. I'm such a jerk. I blinked away my stinging tears. When I was writing that story, I didn't think you'd ever know. You called my plot clumsy. I was wrong. Aaron held me tighter. I always wished it was true. In the story, we're together. But you never reached out to me. I couldn't help myself. Even if you only loved me for my money, I'd take it. As long as you married me. I whispered, I'm deaf. People will laugh at you. You're perfect. More normal than anyone else. I started crying again. But there's lipstick on your shirt. After holding it in for so long, I finally let it out. You married me, but you're still messing around with other women. Aaron gripped my hand tightly, his expression strange, half guilt, half relief. I thought you didn't care. I froze for a moment. You lied to me? Aaron said, I would never dare to be unfaithful. The shirt was borrowed. I wiped away my tears, staring at him for a while, then suddenly kicked him hard in the knee. As he groaned in pain, I turned and walked away. Are you giving Aaron the silent treatment? Yeah. I moved back into my old apartment, tossed our marriage certificate into a drawer, and locked it. He lied to me. Am I not allowed to be angry? You definitely are. After packing up, I noticed Aaron was trending online. I clicked in, it was an interview with Aaron in front of the cameras. Aaron, just a month ago, you said this novel had a terrible plot. Why do you like it now? Aaron looked at the camera, answering seriously, I've always liked it. Do you like the book or the person? Both. The reporter pressed, doesn't it hurt to eat your words? I apologize for the nonsense I said back then. I was wrong. The comment section was full of onlookers. Oh, look who's backpedaling. He was so confident before, and now he's groveling? Bet he got kicked out after a fight with the author. I thought for a moment and replied with a burner account, serves him right. Before I could respond further, Aaron commented under my post, it does serve me right. Everything fell silent for a moment. Then a string of replies followed. Is that the author herself? Aaron replied, that's my wife. Soon, a new headline appeared, the novel becomes reality, the male lead marries the author. Aaron sent me a private message, can you add me back as a friend? I blocked his account entirely. That night, I went out to discuss my next steps with my best friend. She asked me, how's your hearing? I sighed. I saw a doctor. The treatment isn't suitable. There's not much they can do. She patted my shoulder. Don't worry about your mom. She's doing much better, and I'm taking care of her. Do you want me to tell her what's going on with you? I shook my head. No, just tell her. I'm doing fine. With so much on my mind, I unknowingly drank too much. By 10 o'clock, the streets were getting crowded. Resting my head on my hand, I stared at the entrance as a tall, handsome man walked in, looking exhausted. I grabbed my friend and said, look at that guy. He looks just like my husband. My friend coughed. Honey, that is your husband. The moment she said that, Aaron pulled me into his arms. How much did you drink? How are you this drunk? I tugged at his tie, standing on tiptoe to get a good look at him. You're even better looking than my husband. How about this, you marry me for the second time? Aaron's expression twitched as he wrapped me in his jacket and carried me out of the bar. Once we were in the car, I started crying again. What's wrong? He asked patiently. I pressed a hand to my chest. Here, it feels tight. I'm uncomfortable. I could have been perfectly healthy. But Laura ruined everything. Aaron held me gently, comforting me softly. When we get home and you lie down, you'll feel better. I don't want to go home. Then where do you want to go? I squinted at him, grabbing his face. You're coming home with me. Aaron took a deep breath. Ruby, do you know who I am? I know, you're Aaron's substitute. He uses others to get under my skin, so why can't I do the same? His smile stiffened. You can, that's fair. I forced myself to feel a bit happier and wrapped my arms around his neck. Well then, let's go back to my place and lie down together. The moment I finished speaking, he grabbed me by the waist, lifting me up and setting me on his lap. In an instant, a firm embrace trapped me in a confined space. His presence was overwhelmingly dominant. What are you doing? Didn't you say you wanted to go home and lie down with me? A dangerous yet enticing spark flickered in his eyes. My breathing quickened. No, we can't. I was just trying to provoke him. We can't really. There's nothing we can't do. He leaned in, his voice brushing past my ear. It's thrilling, want to try? I stared at his Adam's apple, feeling as if my whole body was about to catch fire. No. Even Aaron himself is off limits? Huh? My mind was hazy, trying to process what he said. Aaron, then, that's fine. Before I could finish my sentence, he kissed me. Desire exploded in the darkness, sweeping away all reason. So obedient, you can still tell people apart, he whispered softly, relax, we've got plenty of time. Bonus chapter, Male Lead's Perspective. It was late at night. Aaron was leaning on the balcony in a bathrobe. The living room was filled with the scent of cigarettes. Ever since he switched careers to business, he had picked up the habit of smoking. Ruby had finally fallen asleep, though not very soundly. He didn't want to wake her, so he stayed in the living room instead. The darkness enveloped him, and the nicotine sinking into his lungs was the only thing that could barely quell the restlessness in his heart. He made a call. Bro, why aren't you sleeping? What's up? Aaron said. Laura laid hands on Ruby back then. He had been holding on to this for days, and if it weren't for being busy bringing Ruby home, he would have already torn Laura and her company apart. No way, no wonder we couldn't find out. The last I traced, it just showed she got married abroad. The data must have been fake. If it weren't for her book blowing up, we might have never known. Aaron kept smoking, saying nothing. So what are you planning to do? Bring them down. You realize how much this will cost the company? After a long silence, Aaron finally said, it doesn't matter. Without them, Ruby wouldn't have ended up like this. God knows how much it tore him up tonight, watching her struggle to read his lips, trying to understand what he was saying. These past few days, he had been constantly thinking back to when he first saw her again at the press conference, years later. She was nearly hit by a falling box, turns out she couldn't hear it coming. She wasn't distant or aloof by nature, she just had trouble communicating. When no one spoke to her, Ruby always sat by the window, staring at the view. Quiet and gentle. The once vibrant and outgoing girl had become like this. Aaron's heart ached, and he covered his face, his voice choking a little. The thought of how she's been living like this for all these years. I shouldn't have treated her that way. A sigh came from the other end. Don't be like this. You've had it rough all these years too. If you want to blame someone, blame Laura. That family, they're all monsters. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened. Ruby's sleepy voice drifted over. Aaron, are you still awake? The voice on the other end paused. Is she up? Yeah. You should go to her. I'll handle the rest. Aaron hung up, stubbed out his cigarette, and opened the window. The heaviness in his chest lightened slightly. Ruby stood barefoot in the living room, wearing a white nightgown. She looked so obedient. "Why are you up?" His voice was soft, afraid to startle her. Ruby glanced at the ashtray overflowing with cigarette butts. "Are you having trouble sleeping?" She walked over, hugging him, gently patting his back. Seeing her disheveled hair, still half asleep, Aaron's heart softened. He coaxed, "Go back to bed, sweetheart. I reek of smoke. Don't let it get on you." "What about you?" "I'll come in a bit." "Okay." Like a wandering soul, Ruby poured herself a glass of water and returned to the bedroom. Aaron looked out at the bright, clean moon outside. Just like Ruby. He took a shower, waited until he was warm, and then returned to her side, holding her close. The scene he had dreamt of countless times was now real. He hugged Ruby tighter and whispered, "Let's never be apart, okay?" Ruby mumbled something in her sleep, but it was unclear if it was a yes or a no. News of my marriage to Aaron quickly spread. Overnight, I received countless messages from old classmates on my phone. I thought he was going to marry Lara. "By the way, I heard you have hearing issues? Are you completely deaf now?" Questions like these kept coming. At first, I responded to a few. But after a while, I stopped replying altogether because some comments were clearly filled with malice. After a script meeting one day, I went to find Aaron. Before I entered the office, I overheard the secretary speaking to him. "Mrs. Mona is a bit upset. She's asking you to come home for dinner." "Did she push away the marriage proposal from Lara's family for me?" "Yes." It was then that I realized Mrs. Mona was Aaron's mother. I had met her before. Back when we were in school, she sold sweets on the street, just like my mother. That's why I had always been afraid to tell Aaron the truth back then, afraid it would hurt him and his mother. Aaron's tone was indifferent. "Busy. No time." "Aaron, she said if you don't come, she'll invite Ruby over." "Ruby's not going either." As he spoke, he noticed me and paused, capping his pen. "Time to go home." Then, to the secretary's surprise, he took my hand. "Why aren't you wearing your hearing aid today?" He lightly pinched my ear. I kept staring at his face, afraid I'd miss what he said. "We're meeting your mother later, right?" I didn't want to look inappropriate. Aaron's expression stiffened. "No need to meet her." I remembered Aaron used to have a good relationship with his mom. I didn't know what had happened over the years to cause such tension. I shook his hand. "Don't be like that. She's always wanted to pair you up with Lara. It bothers me a lot." Aaron paused for a couple of seconds. "I'll go talk to her." He squeezed my hand and said, "Okay." That evening, Lara's parents also showed up, along with some people I didn't recognize, likely from their social circle. As soon as we stepped inside, Lara enthusiastically approached. "Aaron, it's been so long since we had dinner together. Come on over." Aaron deftly avoided her touch, pulling me in front of him. "Mom, this is my wife, Ruby." Curious glances were cast my way. Mrs. Mona's face was stern. "Hiding such a big thing like your marriage from me? Unbelievable." Lara, quick to speak, chimed in with a smile, "Yeah, and to a deaf woman no less." Aaron stopped at the entryway and looked coldly at her parents. "Is this the way you raised your daughter?" The atmosphere became tense. Lara froze in place, and those around us began watching with amusement. After all, Lara had always been spoiled and no one had ever dared say a harsh word to her. Her parents' faces darkened. "She's just straightforward. She's 25. In someone else's home, insulting the hostess by calling her deaf. If you consider that being straightforward, I have nothing more to say." Murmurs spread throughout the room. Lara panicked. "Aaron, don't be like this. I suggest you stay far away from me and my wife." Aaron smiled. "You're really annoying." It was the first time Aaron had openly expressed his feelings about her in front of everyone. No one dared joke about me for the rest of the evening. As dinner ended, a heavy rain started pouring outside. Mrs. Mona insisted on having everyone stay in the villa. While bringing some fruit to Aaron in the study, I overheard his conversation with Mrs. Mona. "You've just undone all your hard work. You've worked so hard to secure your position, aren't you afraid someone else will take it?" Aaron's tone was cold. "Haven't you enjoyed enough?" Isn't that enough for you? Mrs. Mona sobbed uncontrollably. I don't want to go back to those hard times. If you marry Lara, the shareholders will stay loyal to you. You agreed before, why are you backing out now? I never agreed to it. Aaron's tone was filled with disgust. You let Lara manipulate you, threatening me with your life. I just wanted you to stop. Aren't you afraid I'll try to kill myself again? Do whatever you want, Aaron replied, looking utterly exhausted. I already made it through the hardest times at the company. If that's your choice, I can only respect it. Smack. He was suddenly slapped across the face. Mona screamed hysterically, You ungrateful brat. I should have strangled you when you were born. You don't deserve to live. Aaron lowered his head and quietly said, No one wants to be born the son of a mistress. I knew I shouldn't listen any further. I sighed, turned around, and walked away. But just then, I heard Lara's voice from the next room. Relax. Once he comes to terms with who he is, he'll come crawling back to me, Lara said with her usual arrogance. As a rich heiress, I'm more than good enough for some illegitimate son. I paused mid-step and turned back, knocking on Lara's door. Well, look who's brave enough to come to me. Lara looked me up and down, her face full of disdain. Let me be honest with you, even if you marry him, you'll end up divorced. Aaron and I won't be getting divorced. Lara scoffed, You're so naive, thinking. No, you're the naive one. Aaron's family listens to him, and as for you? You're just a barking dog. Lara froze, her eyes widening in disbelief. Ruby, so this is your true face? I should have recorded this. She was fuming, her breath heavy with anger. I curved my lips into a soft smile and said gently, Didn't you hear me? I'm insulting you. You look ridiculous when you're yelling helplessly. In the next second, Lara lost control and shoved me hard. The loud sound immediately attracted everyone's attention. Aaron rushed over, pulling me to his side. What happened? He asked softly. I looked up at him and said calmly, I insulted her. Aaron's gaze flickered, and when he saw the fruit platter on the ground and noticed the security camera above, he instantly understood. He gently held my head and stroked my hair. Lara, I expect a reasonable explanation for this. Lara, furious, shouted, She insulted me. I only saw you shove her, Aaron replied coolly. The parents from both families arrived shortly after, and I was bombarded with questions. Ruby, don't you think you should explain yourself? I turned my head and pointed at the fruit on the floor. I was just bringing her some fruit, and out of nowhere, she shoved me. The murmurs among the guests began to grow louder, and the stares directed at Lara became more peculiar. Sensing things were spiraling out of control, Mona quickly stepped in to smooth things over. All right, it was just a small spat. Let's leave it at that. Her partiality was obvious. Aaron said nothing more, leading me back to our room. Once the door was shut, he stared at me in silence. I lowered my voice. I wasn't wrong. I heard her insulting you. Aaron sighed. You knew she'd bully you, yet you still went? Yeah, I had to call her out. Can we keep the security footage? We can, but it won't do much. This kind of minor spat isn't enough for the police to act on, Aaron said, as if reading my mind. It's not just Lara. I can take down her entire family. Let's wait a little longer, okay? I stayed silent. I didn't just want Lara to fall from grace, I wanted her to face proper consequences. I gently touched the swollen side of his face. What happened here? He shrugged it off. Just a small accident. And this? I asked, referring to the scar on his wrist. There were plenty of small, dense scars on his body. Aaron replied casually, also an accident. I bowed my head and bit down on his shoulder. Aaron laughed. So fierce. Because you're lying to me. Someone hit you, didn't they? Aaron's smile faded. He held me close and stroked my hair. It's all in the past now. Aaron, if your family treats you so badly, why do you keep coming back? He was silent for a long time before replying, How could I face you without enough money? I don't know how much you need, but it seems like the more, the better. I've had that bank card for a long time, saved up for you to spend. It has everything I own. I lifted my head and kissed his lips, cutting him off. Aaron's breathing became erratic, and he tightened his grip around me, his voice hoarse. "What are you doing? I don't want you to sleep." I began unbuttoning his shirt. "We need to do something more interesting." My slightly aggressive actions interrupted my own words. Aaron's voice was barely a whisper. "Ruby, is this just about the money?" The rain pattering on the skylight conveniently drowned out the surrounding noise. "No, it's because I love you." His breathing hitched. He grabbed my waist, flipping me over. "You know I can't handle hearing that." Late into the night, I watched the moon as it swayed behind the clouds, through the skylight. At one point, it broke free, shining a single bright beam through. "Ruby, look, the moon's come out." The next day, as we were leaving, Mona stopped me. "I've seen you before. You're a sweet girl, but you're not right for Aaron." She had grown quite accustomed to the life of the rich, her arrogance evident. I held Aaron's arm and said, "We truly love each other." Mona chuckled, "Name your price. If we don't divorce, everything will be mine." Her face fell as she turned to Aaron, demanding, "Is this the wife you're so proud of?" Aaron didn't even bother to lift his eyelids. "She calls the shots. If we divorce, I leave with nothing." His attitude was clear, whatever I said, he'd accept. Mona's face flushed red with anger. You both." Aaron took my hand. "Our stance is clear." "I don't want to hear this again." Mona cried out, "Aaron, I'm your mother." "Yes, you are. That's why I didn't confront you when you let Laura bully my wife. But next time I won't hold back." Without giving her another chance to speak, Aaron pulled me out the door. The driver was already waiting outside. "Home?" he asked. I shook my head. "No. I've started a new book. Byron needs to see me at the office." "When did you start a new book?" My ears turned slightly red. "Not long ago." Then I quickly added, "And don't read it." Aaron couldn't hold back his laugh. "All right, I won't." Because my previous book was a huge hit, I became a key author for the online novel company. Byron was thrilled when he saw me. "Hey, your new book's off to a great start. You're doing fantastic on your own, even without much promotion from the company." "It's probably because it's based on my personal experience. It feels more authentic." Byron was momentarily taken aback. "Wait, the bullying part, is that your experience too?" "Yes." I handed him the outline. "This time, I want to finish the bullying arc quickly." "Please prepare for that." Byron was confused. "Sure, but why the rush?" "I want the perpetrators to face justice." Within the first month of the book's release, the topic of school bullying was trending. A well-known reader, on behalf of many others, raised concerns. No one who hasn't experienced bullying could write with this level of detail. Is the author perhaps drawing from personal experience? Readers and bystanders alike began discussing it, and the topic quickly gained traction. In just 3 days, a former classmate of mine came forward, saying, "I remember she did have a close friend named Lara, and the situation sounds pretty similar." "No way. Is this a true story?" "I also heard the author lost her hearing." "Could that be why?" "Where's the proof?" "Don't accuse someone without evidence." "Hey, calm down. It's just speculation, no need to attack the author." On the 4th day, the pressure got to Lara, and she called me. "What the hell are you doing?" she demanded. "What do you mean? Are you trying to use this to publicly shame me?" Lara's voice was dripping with sarcasm. "I haven't done anything, Ruby. If you've got guts, go ahead and keep going." The next day, Lara's family released a statement. They claimed that Lara and I had simply fallen out, and that both of us were victims of bullying. They also accused me of being mentally disturbed and fabricating the story. A wealthy family got dragged into this media storm, and the attention only kept rising. My follower count started to soar, though most of them were here to gossip or insult me. Byron called, "Are you sure this is really okay?" "It's fine." When Aaron came back, I was curled up in front of the computer, holding White while typing. My follower count had already hit 600,000. I smiled at him, "You're back?" White barked as well. He walked over, put White down, leaned over, and kissed me. Stop looking at the internet. I'll have someone handle those negative comments. Arguments are only fun when there's back and forth. I propped my chin on my hand. I remember you said Lara had a project to discuss today. Yeah, but it didn't go through. Exactly. When doing business, who'd want to deal with someone with a bad reputation? There'll be more chances in the future. Aaron looked at me with a smile. Is my Ruby that fierce? I pushed him and sat on his lap, saying seriously, I might have to be a little more ruthless lately. Aaron raised an eyebrow. How ruthless? Like, out of control, showing off, and spending a lot of your money. All right. No objections? I'm all yours, whatever you say goes. Recently, I've made a bunch of friends in the wealthy wives circle. Ruby, is this bag the latest model? They gathered around, admiring. It's hard to get. Did Aaron buy it for you? Yeah. I thought he didn't like me, but after getting married, he's been completely doting. Everyone exchanged glances and looked at Lara sitting in the corner, saying. Some people used to brag about how much Aaron cared about her, but look now, he doesn't even acknowledge her. The group burst into laughter. I gave each of them a limited edition bag, except for Lara. From now on, we're all friends. Let's take care of each other. They say Lara threw a huge tantrum on her way home that day, even kicking out a close friend from her car. That night, after I showered, I lay on the sofa and opened my homepage. My followers had reached 800,000. Aaron came back. How was the gathering? Fun? I rolled over, bent my legs to make space for him. A bit exhausting. Spending money and energy. Aaron pulled me over and hugged me. I saw. Ruby's spending power today was impressive. He still smelled good. Ever since he quit smoking, he hadn't touched a cigarette. I focused on undoing his collar. Aaron leaned back, letting me fumble with it. What are you doing? It's too early. Be good, let's eat first. Wait a minute, I need to post something on Facebook. Aaron looked puzzled. I put my hand on his neck and took several rapid shots. He grabbed my hand and, with a hoarse voice, asked, Who do you want to show this to? I smiled, to Lara. He stared at me, his eyes smiling. You're generous. I thought for a moment and said seriously, actually, I have a plan. What plan? I whispered into Aaron's ear for a long time. Aaron frowned tightly. No, it's too dangerous. But as long as she's around, she's a ticking time bomb. We can't just expect someone who's broken the law to suddenly have a change of heart. I promise, I'll protect myself. Under my persistence, Aaron finally wavered. After continuous provocation, Lara began frequently sending me messages. Do you really think you're something special, just because you've got someone backing you? Without Aaron, what are you? Wake up, when you get old and ugly, what will you do when Aaron doesn't love you anymore? She even hired trolls to publicly smear me. For over 10 days, the drama didn't die down. Byron was getting worried. Ruby, maybe we should slow down, their trolls are pretty strong. I refused and released a video of Lara pushing me in a villa, ruining her company's second deal. The business turned around and partnered with Aaron instead. With Aaron on my side, there was no way those snatched partners were going back. The online narrative shifted again. I thought she was nice. Is she mentally unstable? This woman is supposed to be an heiress, won't she blow through the family fortune? Lara lost several deals in a row, and her parents were chasing after partners, explaining, our daughter is really fine. They were forced to take Lara for a psychological evaluation and handed the results to the business partners. After all the back and forth, my followers hit 1 million. I had gained enough influence. I sent a message to Lara through someone, asking, do you still insist you did nothing wrong? I remember someone once told me, a person who's crossed the line of the law once, after getting a taste of it, will always do it again. One evening, I saw those people again. After so many years, they hadn't changed. Their clubs had been swapped for knives, and a van was behind them. Little sister, why can't you just be satisfied? The man leading the group smirked. We beat you once before, didn't we do a good enough job? Want another round? I backed away, saying, I'll give you money. We don't need money. No, I mean, this card, take it. All I ask is to let me make a call to your boss. They saw Aaron's gold card, and their eyes lit up. Really? Just one call? Yes, use your phone, put it on speaker. I won't do anything. I just want to beg her to let me go. They exchanged glances, and one of them pulled out his phone and dialed the number. After a few seconds, Lara's impatient voice came through. What now? Did you finish her off? Boss, she wants to talk to you. There was a pause, then Lara suddenly hung up. They looked up at me in confusion, only to see me holding up my phone, capturing their faces on video. The live stream with over 1 million viewers shot straight to the top of the trending charts. The criminals who had roamed free for years were finally caught at this moment. Kidnapping live? The boss is Lara? I recognize her voice. Did I hear that right? She wants to kill the author? Isn't this a lawful society? Amid the silence, a black leather shoe crushed the finger of the man reaching for the gold card. Sorry, that's my wife's. Kindly remove your filthy hand. Behind Aaron were the flashing red and blue lights of police cars. Officers got out of the cars and swiftly pinned the criminals to the ground. Aaron's eyes were cold. Officer, I'll leave the rest to you. Don't worry. This time, with all the evidence, there won't be any mistakes. The officer gave me a nod of approval. Well done. My eyes welled up, and I nodded back, unable to speak for a long time. Many years ago, when I was leaving, this officer had given me 500 yuan. He said, "You're still young. You can't win now. Leave, and when you're able to protect yourself, come back and help us." I told the officer about Lara's psychological evaluation. If she tries to use mental illness to escape punishment, don't let her get away with it. Lara went to prison. I heard that when the police came for her, she was so scared she almost jumped off the top floor. The family behind Lara, which had held power in this city for years, was also uprooted. It was only later that I realized I was just one of many victims. And I was one of the least hurt. Aaron accompanied me to visit my mom. She lived in a hospital, and sometimes she didn't recognize people. Aaron held her hand patiently, repeating, "Mom, I'm your son-in-law." The burned scars covered much of her body, and she often frightened children when they saw her. "You're my son-in-law?" Aaron hummed in agreement. Mom touched Aaron's head and cried, saying, "Good." At the same time, my new book's popularity surged because of these events. I worked overtime every day, often writing until late at night. It had been over half a month since I last slept with Aaron. It was soon August, and the weather was gradually getting cooler. One morning, Aaron dragged me into the bedroom. "Ruby, you have time to write flirty scenes, but no time to sleep with me? I'm a bit tired." "Too late," he said as he removed my coat. "Let's see how the author writes it." I blushed. "No, you can't look." Aaron ignored my protests, his eyes scanning the words, and whispered in my ear, "You seem to know a lot. Care to teach me? So this is how you make people like you more." Listening to his commentary, I eventually collapsed into the sheets. I rarely asked Byron for time off, but I took a few days off to go on vacation with Aaron. While we were there, I met his friend. He said, "You don't know, when Aaron bought your rights, he couldn't sleep for 3 days and nights. He still couldn't figure out whether you liked him or not. And when he was about to propose, he didn't sleep the whole night either." Aaron covered his mouth. "Shut up. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak." I stared blankly at Aaron. "I thought you hated me back then." Aaron kept a straight face and turned his head away, his ears turning red. His friend was quite talkative. "Hate you? Not at all. I love your novels." I told him that the main characters end up together, but he was just being sour grapes, insisting that you couldn't write. So I told him, if it were me, I'd make him wait a few years at least. "Enough," Aaron said gruffly, "it wasn't easy for me to get a wife." The rest of the time, I couldn't help but smile as I watched him. Aaron carefully cut my steak, but the corners of his mouth couldn't hide his smile. After dinner, Aaron stood a little distance away, making a phone call. His friend suddenly leaned in and said, "Ruby, there's something I've been meaning to tell you." "What is it?" He glanced at Aaron, who was still engrossed in his call, sighed, and handed me a small box. "These are Aaron's plane tickets from the past few years." I opened the box and found a thick stack of tickets, making my heart feel heavy. Scratching his head, he continued, Aaron traveled all over the world looking for you. He's a legitimate businessman, but compared to Lara's family, who have all kinds of shady connections, he's got nothing. If they wanted to hide someone, it'd be too easy. So, what I'm trying to say is, Ruby, when Aaron first saw you again, he spoke harshly, but don't blame him. He's been chasing you for years. Anyone who found out the person they were looking for was right under their nose, writing a happily ever after story, but not coming to find them, would be angry. Yeah, I know. I nodded, holding the small box, my eyes inexplicably stinging. When I was suffocating under the weight of life, it turned out there was someone in the world who had been tirelessly searching for me. And about the insurance, he didn't want me to tell you. What insurance? Back when he first returned to his family, the infighting was intense. His so-called friends, though most of them are in jail now, tried to fake a car accident to get rid of him. At that time, he asked me to buy insurance for him, with you as the beneficiary. To put it bluntly, his mom, it's like she doesn't even exist. You're probably the only family he has left in this world. Aaron's mother had threatened to kill herself several times, trying to force him into marrying Lara. But after Lara's family collapsed, his mother stopped causing trouble. She even called once, carefully asking when we were planning to have children. Before she could say much, Aaron hung up the phone. There are some things Aaron never says. Thank you for telling me all this. No need to thank me, Ruby. I stuffed the small box into my backpack, and when I looked up, I saw Aaron returning. What were you two talking about? Aaron asked with a smile. Nothing. I brushed the wind-tousled hair from my face and took Aaron's hand as we said goodbye to his friend. Aaron picked up my bag, weighed it in his hand, and smiled broadly. What's inside? It's pretty heavy. I replied mysteriously, something good. The sun was setting beyond the horizon, painting the sky and sea in gold. Our fingers intertwined, and just like in the story, we had reached our desired ending. End.